So tinfoil, also not a good idea for a palette. Maybe one of these days I'll get it right. First was bubble wrap, now it's tinfoil. Both are horrible choices. Alright, let's see what we did. Those are the colors, by the way. Red, white, and blue. Apparently I'm making citizens from the province of America. Evidently. So this is what I got done. I'm going to start off by saying I hate these models. They're so bad. Just the way that they're posed, and when you're painting on them, a thing that really bugs me is where's one of them? Like this cape nonsense here. Like look at how this cape is done. What is that? The thick that crap is, and it doesn't even have like a break. It just becomes part of the shirt. So bad, so bad. Same thing with the shoes. Their expressions are so goofy. Oh, GW, I hate these models. I really do. That said, what I noticed also is that I'm not going to be able to use the tutorial that I thought I was going to use, at least not to the same extent, because there's one important distinction I forgot to make, and that is his zombies were mantic zombies, and those zombies are, should we say, lightly clothed. Most of it is rotting flesh. And my zombies are almost fully clothed and have weapons and things like that, whereas the mantic zombies are just zombies. Shredded clothes falling off of them, most of them I think are hung around their waists, whereas I actually have to paint the clothes on these guys, so I'm not going to be able to just do a dusting overall. Also, some of them have hair, which even the hair is just bad. I don't know. I know these are older models that GW like redid in plastic, or maybe they never changed them, but they're just bad. Look at the guts on this guy. That's how the guts. That's how the guts are. That's so bad. Oh no, it makes me sad. So corny. So dumb. Ugh, I hate these models. I forgot to do the rest on that guy. Yeah, there isn't much. This guy's holding a foot. This guy's got a foot for a weapon. Oh, how dumb is that? So bad. He's holding a foot. These are just cheeseball. All to hell. Regardless, if I want to field this army ever in some sort of tournament, I imagine I have to have at least some percentage of them be GW. And by tournament, I mean at a battle bunker. Which I know GW's starting to step away from the tournament scene, which, to be honest, is probably for the best. But I still like to stay as legal as possible. That way I can attend if ever there is one present that I can go to. I know there's a lot of big ones like GTs and stuff that require a percentage of the unit or something like that. And my goal is to eventually attend things like that. So, anyway, there they are. That's the first 8. I have to do the flesh on them, but like I said, I'm not going to be able to do it the same way that Kaz Paul did his. So I don't know what I'm going to do for the skin. I really like how they turn out muddy looking. and realistic, and these guys are just cheesy and cartoony. So I don't know if a realistic scheme on them will look good. So maybe I'll just try to whip something else up easy for these guys. Maybe I'll do a dry brush, a light dry brush on the skin of a gray or elf or Etten flesh. Got one in here. Ooh, sorry about that. If I bumped anything. Something maybe like sand. Just do a dry brush of this fleshy thing. Pale flesh, and then do a Reichland flesh shade wash over them, because the Reichland flesh shade is a little more red, so it'll give them a more gored up look, I think. I'll do a test model first. But there they are. First set of my cheeseball zombies. Oh, the color scheme. So my plan is, and actually what I want to do eventually at some point, probably after the challenge is done, unless there's like an overwhelming request from it for you guys, or for it from you guys, but I want to sit down and do a little narrative piece about this army and where it came from and what its intentions are. I actually have it all developed out, because that's the kind of nerd I am, and I really like it, and I wanted to possibly sit down and tell it one of these days. I think that'll be cool. But for these guys, the reason these guys apply to that narrative is because the color scheme, I did some research, and the color scheme for these guys is more of it's a Kislev, and Kislev is, I know, made of a bunch of different tribes, but they've got a Russian flavor to them, a 16th century Russian vibe to them. At least that's what the wiki page said. So what I'm using is a lot of reds and blues, and they said that also, I don't know if it's ever used together in a 3-part scheme like this guy, but I know that some of the tribes use blue and white, and some tribes use red and black, and then there's even some tribes that have a green color. And I can't remember which ones are which. I should have been prepared and had that sitting in front of me so I could actually be a little bit more accurate. But either way, that's my palette. They're going to be from Kislev, the northern tribes, and there's a reason for that, which I'll get into later. So there they are. Wow, wow. Cheesy zombies. And I actually did not do a very good job either. I just kind of slopped the paint on for now, just blocked out the colors, and I went outside the line like a little kindergartner. Ugh. Yeah, I don't. I just don't. Wow. That's alright. I think they'll look alright when they're done. But like I said, I have to do the skin. The plan eventually will be to, when I'm all done with those guys back there, I'm going to do the skin all at the same time, and then probably wash them all at the same time. And I'm sticking with the same scheme for the weapons as I did with skeletons. I did think on this and consider this a little bit, and it did cross my mind that zombies are traditionally newer undead than skeletons are. The whole flair that I went with my skeletons was this whole dusty, ancient, 1,000-year-old tomb kind of look, where my vampire just kind of went down into these catacombs or something and raised up a bunch of long dead ancient warriors. But with these guys, she's basically slaughtering towns as she goes along and raising civilians and former soldiers up as undead. So I did consider that their weapons may not be as rusty and ancient looking as the skeletons, but because they look so different, I wanted to go with a unifying theme, and I just love the rust color. This rust is just tops, in my opinion. I really like it. So I went ahead with that anyway. I think it's fairly believable regardless. You know, these ancient, old, Soviet-style Kislevian villages and towns are probably going to have a plethora of rusted, rotten wood, just because it's so cold up there all the time, and probably snow-drenched. So you're going to probably get a lot of wear and tear on your basic farm equipment. So that's my justification for it. Another thing I should also talk about is I'm not going to do this scheme all the way throughout. I understand that obviously the color scheme is for uniforms, like former soldiers. And not all these guys obviously are going to be soldiers, as indicated by the fact that they are holding farm equipment instead of old weapons or something. So I think about this a lot. So a lot of these guys I'm gonna paint up as basic gray brown garments as well, to give some variety to it as well. It'll add the look of a shambling horde. I don't really want a uniform scheme to it. It'll have it a little bit. I'll have common colors throughout, just because I don't want it to be painful to the eyes, but I also want it to look like a disorganized, shambling horde. So it's not going to be all the same. And the civilians obviously aren't going to have the same uniform colors. I'll stick with the neutral browns and grays, just to make it so it's not offensive, but there you have it. Now, before I ramble too much more, I'm going to jump over to the question, which is alternate universes, yes or no? This one's a big yes for me. As a big comic book fan, man, you can't have some of the storyline arcs without going down the alternate universe route. So I'm all for that. It's a really good, as a storyteller and as a writer, it's also a really good narrative tool if you want to tell a different story from a different perspective, or add more depth to an existing storyline. Obviously, if you're going down that path, there's got to be certain criteria that are met. The subject matter has to make sense for it, of course, but I truly believe that it is something interesting and very applicable to the narrative to visit an alternate universe concept. So big yay for me. Here we go. I think this is day 15. Is that right? If it's not right, I'll correct it in the video liner notes. I think this is day 15. Or no, maybe it's day 16. I don't know. I'm gonna go with day 16. I think that's what it is. I'm losing track. Alright guys, I think that's it for me. Have a good one.